Exchange of blows. What is happening on the front and in the rear? Over the past 2 weeks, Ukraine has destroyed a submarine carrying calibers, a large landing ship, several Russian air defense nodes, the command post and main stationary headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, almost 400 artillery systems, and military facilities on Russian territory. Ukrainian drones flying into Russian facilities is already the norm. The elimination of the Russian presence on drilling platforms in the Black Sea has made it easier for the Ukrainian Air Force to operate in the Black Sea. At the same time, Russia destroyed a hotel in Odessa, a kindergarten, the office of a civilian shipping company, several other civilian facilities, and attempted to damage energy infrastructure, but success is highly doubtful. In general, Ukrainian defense forces are getting closer to destroying the Russian air defense infrastructure in Crimea and the entire south, which will make it much easier to occupy the Zaporizhia and Kherson regions and blockade the peninsula. Creates a constant threat to Russian forces in the waters of the Black Sea, which will gradually reduce missile pressure on Ukrainian infrastructure. AFU forces destroy the artillery potential of the Russian armed forces and demechanize the Russian army as a whole. Russia loses as much armored vehicles in a couple of months as Russia produces in an entire year, according to optimistic estimates for Russians. It brings closer the blockade of Crimea. Although it is still a long way off, fundamental preparations are in full swing, and after the blockade there will be liberation. In general, the same trend that we have been observing for the last 19 months continues. Gradually, the technical advantage that Russia had at the beginning of the invasion is being leveled. This does not mean that Russia is not doing everything possible to increase the production of the types of weapons available to it. It does, of course. But Russia's industrial potential is very limited compared to the Soviet era, and not comparable to that of NATO countries, and Ukraine's allies. Do you like him as the way the Russians like them? Yes, when you hear that Russia has increased production of something there by X times, it is always advisable to look at the base of comparison. Because a 2-fold increase in car production in Korea is a lot. A 10-fold increase in the production of complex products in Russia is, as a rule, a transition from piece production to small-scale production. The main argument Russia can use to prolong its occupation is a full-blown second wave of mobilization. And then a third, and a fourth. In connection with the general decrease in the mechanization of the Russian army and the gradual increase of mechanization in the AFU, this could turn the war into a competition of meat against a technological army. We should not think that this will happen tomorrow, but the trends are exactly like this. The other thing is that Putin does realize how dangerous this style of compensating for technological losses can be. Opportunities for training mobilized people in Russia have not expanded over the past year, either physically or in terms of personnel who can train mobilized people. The first wave of mobilization was the biggest test of Putin's popularity and legitimacy. That is why there is still no second wave, although it was needed after the failure of the winter offensive. The main thing for Ukraine and for its partners is not to do big stupid things, and I will not explain what that means, but I will definitely read your options in the comments. And of course Ukraine should be provided with all the weapons and resources that the Ukrainian Liberation Forces needs to gradually suppress the aggressor. This is what needs to be worked on. Thank you for your attention.